Okay, let's dive into this. Welcome, educators, parents, and everyone out there helping kids learn to read. Today, we're jumping right into a complete walkthrough of Crimson Grove's Elementary Education Explorer adventure. Specifically, we're taking a really close look at Lesson 8. This is the one that introduces young readers to that awesome, super distinct oi sound. If you're guiding early learners through their phonics journey, you're going to love this explainer. We're breaking down exactly how this lesson is set up to maximize engagement and make sure these new concepts actually stick. Here's our roadmap for today. Think of this as our syllabus. First, we've got the outstanding oi sound. Then we'll meet the vowel team, look at some featured words and sentences, jump into the fun practice exercises, and finally, wrap things up with the golden phonics roll. All right, part 1, the outstanding oi sound. This is all about setting the thematic and emotional core of the lesson. So the crucial point is that this curriculum doesn't just teach sounds in a vacuum, right? It actually anchors the oi sound to a really positive concept, outstanding ideas. It shows kids that their outstanding ideas grow when they listen, think, and learn. Linking this vowel team to that kind of curiosity, it instantly gives the sound this great emotional weight. And that brings us to the daily affirmation for the kids. My ideas help me learn and grow. I mean, this isn't just some fluffy, feel-good phrase. It is a deliberate psychological tool. Having students say this out loud right at the start of the lesson fosters curious minds and really sparks that creative thinking. It's basically telling the student, hey, your voice and your ideas totally matter, which primes their brains for a super positive learning experience. Moving on to part 2, meeting the vowel team. This is where we see the letters O and I working together. So now that the kids are all primed and ready, we get into the nuts and bolts. We introduce the vowel team. The letters O and I are teaming up to make one totally unique sound, usually right in the middle of a word. And when teaching this, the auditory experience is literally everything. As an educator, you want to get the whole room vocalizing this together. You prompt them, have everyone say oi, says oi, oi. Oi. It's bouncy, it's fun, and feeling how their mouths actually move when they make that sound, that's what locks the phonetic pattern right into their memory. Next up is Section 3, Featured Words and Sentences. This is where we apply the oi sound to our core vocabulary. Let's move to and see how this builds from just an isolated sound into actual, recognizable words. Putting a core vocabulary list out there like this is a super strategic move. Notice how that oi is sitting right smack in the middle of these words. As the kids scan down coin, soil, boil, point, oil, they're visually spotting that spelling pattern repeating over and over. That builds pattern recognition, and we all know that's the absolute foundation of fluent reading. It basically proves to them that this funny little vowel team they just met is actually everywhere. Okay, so then we take those words and drop them into context. These practice sentences are fantastic because they create this little mini narrative of everyday discovery. Just picture a kid going on a little adventure, right? They look down and go, I found a shiny coin on the ground. Then they notice nature, seeing that plants grow well in rich soil. They go back inside to help in the kitchen, hearing please boil the water because mom cooked with olive oil. And finally, back in the classroom, they point to the picture on the board. These aren't just random, disconnected sentences. They're relatable, everyday scenarios that really spark the sound to life. And to perfectly tie the technical stuff back to our main theme, one of the final practice sentences is, outstanding ideas help us solve problems. I love this because it deliberately loops right back to the emotional core we set up at the very beginning. It's a great reminder for the students about why they're learning these words in the first place, so they can express their own outstanding ideas. All right, into Section 4, Fun Practice Exercises. Time to move from passive learning to active engagement. This is where the magic happens, and structured repetition really comes into play for their phonetic development. And this brilliantly illustrates the clear, escalating progression of difficulty we see in these 6 practice exercises. We start out super simple. Step 1, read the words. Then, Step 2, circle the oi word. Next, fill in the missing letters. Match the word to the picture. Complete the sentences. And finally, Step 6, the big one, write your own sentences. Let's actually take a closer look at a couple of these. So, check out Exercise 2, where the kids have to circle the oi word. The options they're given, not random at all. They get coin, cat, cup, or soil, sand, stone. It's so smart because the words often start with the exact same consonant. This means the young learner can't just guess based on the first letter. They have to actively look past it, search the middle of the word, and visually distinguish that oi vowel team from other really common vocabulary words. Then, skipping down to Exercise 5, the cognitive load gets a nice little bump. Now they're completing sentences by picking between two words. I found a blank on the floor, coin or book. Flowers grow in good blank, soil or water. To get this right, the student actually has to apply what they know about the word's pronunciation, sure, but also its logical meaning within the sentence itself. So now they're truly reading for comprehension. And finally, Section 5, the grand finale of the lesson plan, the Golden Phonics Rule, where we learn to distinguish when to use oi versus oi. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how this visual contrast instantly makes the spelling rule click for students. It's a huge light bulb moment. The OI spelling pattern is usually found right in the middle of a word. Think coin, boil, point, soil. But the OY spelling pattern, which makes the exact same sound, is almost always at the end of a word, like boy, toy, joy, enjoy. Putting them side by side like this completely demystifies the spelling rule and gives these young readers the tools they need to make educated guesses when they're writing. Which actually leaves us with the perfect cliffhanger. By dropping that oi pattern right at the finish line, it leaves everyone, educators and students, totally primed and eager for Lesson 9, where they're going to dive headfirst into the oi sound. It's just such a fantastic way to build strong reading habits, linking one concept seamlessly to the next. So now that they've mastered the outstanding ideas of the oi sound, are your learners ready for the next adventure? Thanks so much for hanging out with me for this explainer, and keep on exploring.